The first time an alien ever touched me, it wasn't with a weapon, a scanner, or a diplomatic gesture. It was with a small, trembling hand. I was standing on the landing platform of Kepri 9, a dust-colored moon orbiting a dying orange star, waiting for my extraction shuttle. The evacuation of the Kepri refugee camp had taken 3 grueling months. Endless manifests, language barriers, terrified civilians from a dozen species, and too few transport ships to move them all quickly. I was exhausted, physically, emotionally, spiritually. That was when I felt the tug. I looked down and saw a child. They were small, barely reaching my waist, with soft, iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their eyes were too large for their face, dark and glossy, reflecting the burning sky. They wore a tattered thermal wrap, far too thin for the coming night, and they were staring straight up at me. "Be my father," the child said. The universal translator hummed softly in my ear, but I knew it wasn't wrong. The words were simple, clear, terrifying. I knelt instinctively. "Hey, kid, where are your parents?" The child's skin dimmed, the colors fading toward gray. "Gone," they replied. "Taken by the fire ships. You stayed. You came back for us." Around us, the camp buzzed with noise. Cargo drones lifting off, soldiers shouting departure times, families clinging to one another. But in that moment, the universe narrowed to just us. "I can't," I said gently. "I'm human. I'm not even from this system." "You are a protector," the child said. "You shielded us when the sky fell." That much was true. When the Zarn Collective had invaded Kepri 9 for its rare quantum silicates, they hadn't cared that millions lived on the moon. Cities burned. Atmosphere processors failed. Refugees fled to the deserts. And when the Collective returned to wipe out the camps, it was humanity's fleet that dropped from hyperspace between the warships and the civilians. We weren't the strongest species in the galaxy. Not the most advanced. But we had one reputation that echoed across the stars. When humans said, "Never again," we meant it. "I'm not your father," I said softly. The child tightened their grip on my hand. "Then be what comes after." Before I could respond, a shadow fell across us. A Zarn drone, sleek, black and armed, descended silently from the clouds. Its weapon systems began to glow. The evacuation clock hadn't run out yet. The Collective was breaking the ceasefire. I scooped the child up without thinking and turned, shouting into my comm, "We've got hostiles in the camp." I repeat. The drone fired. I turned my back to shield the child. The impact slammed me to the ground, armor screaming as kinetic energy dispersed across my shield. Pain flared through my spine. But the shield held. Human-made. Behind me I heard screams. More drones descended, strafing the outskirts of the camp. Panic exploded like a bomb. I got to my feet, still holding the child. "Stay with me," I muttered, more to myself than them. "I am not afraid," the child said quietly. "You are here." Something inside my chest cracked open at that. Ran. Through dust and smoke, past burning shelters and overturned supply crates, toward the extraction zone. Human soldiers formed a defensive line, rifles blazing blue-white plasma into the sky. One of them saw me and swore. "Captain Reyes! What the hell?" "No time!" shouted. "Get this kid on the shuttle." The child clung to my neck as I passed them over. Their eyes never left mine. "You will come," they said. It wasn't a question. "I will," I promised, surprising myself with how certain I sounded. The shuttle doors slammed shut as explosions rocked the platform. We barely lifted off before the ground beneath us turned to glass. 3 months later, I stood before the United Terran Council. The chamber was massive, filled with delegates from Earth, Mars, Luna, and the outer colonies. Holographic displays showed casualty figures, political fallout, and diplomatic protests from the Zarn Collective. "This is unprecedented," one counselor snapped. "You are requesting legal guardianship of a non-human minor." "I'm requesting asylum for a war orphan," I replied. "And I'm volunteering to be responsible for them. They are not human. They are a child." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Another counselor leaned forward. "Captain Reyes, do you understand what this means? This sets a precedent. Other species may expect the same." He nodded. "Good." Silence followed. Finally the chairwoman spoke. "Why?" I thought of the small hand in mine. The trust. The fear. The certainty. "Because when the sky was falling," I said, "they looked at us and saw family." The vote passed by a single margin. Rin, that was the child's name, adapted to Earth faster than anyone expected. Their biology was different, their needs complex, but children were children everywhere. They laughed at gravity games, loved ocean documentaries, and asked endless questions about stars. "Why do humans fight monsters bigger than them?" Rin asked one night. I smiled sadly. "Because someone has to." "Is that why you fight?" "Yes." Rin considered this. "Then they leaned against me. Then I will grow strong too. I will stand with you." Years passed. Rin grew taller, their colors brighter. Word spread across the galaxy, not just of humanity's strength, but of its compassion. Other species began sending delegates, students, even children to learn among us. The Zarn Collective never invaded another civilian world. They had learned something dangerous. Humans didn't just defend their own. We adopted the galaxy. And as I watched Rin step onto a diplomatic platform years later, standing proud, confident, unafraid, I realized the truth. The alien child hadn't just found a father that day. They had given humanity something too. A future worth protecting. Years later, when the stars shifted and the galaxy entered another uneasy age, I stood once more on a landing platform, this time not as a soldier, but as a witness. Rin stood at the edge of the dais, robes flowing gently in the artificial wind, their skin glowing with calm, radiant color. Representatives from dozens of species filled the plaza. Some had once feared humanity. Others had doubted us. A few had once fought us. Now they listened. Rin raised a hand, and the murmurs faded. "I was born during fire," they said, their voice carrying effortlessly across the crowd. "My world burned. My people scattered. I believed I would disappear into history like ash." They paused, and I saw their gaze find me in the crowd. Then a human took my hand. Images appeared in the air. Archival footage of the evacuation, grainy and chaotic. A single frame froze. Me, armored and bleeding, holding a small, frightened child. "He did not share my blood," Rin continued. "He did not know my species. But he chose me." The plaza was silent. "Humans do not ask what a child will become before they protect them," Rin said. "They protect first. And because of that, I am here." Rin straightened. "Let this council remember, when humanity stands between the innocent and annihilation, they do not do it for glory. They do it because someone once did it for them." The assembly rose as one. Later, as the crowds dispersed and the stars came out, Rin walked beside me along the quiet platform. "You never left," they said softly. Smiled. "I told you I wouldn't." Rin took my hand again. No longer trembling, no longer afraid. "I asked you to be my father," they said. "You became something more."